Hey guys, really quick, driving here in Bel Air. Turn the engine on. This car's a hybrid, it's really cool. But most importantly, hey, listen. One of the questions I got was, how do you get all these powerful people on your podcast? And like David Goggins, he has a huge following. How did you get David Goggins on your podcast and many others? So I'm going to tell you guys how I did it. And please, once again, at the end, comment, like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me know what else you want me to cover. What do you want me to talk about? Because I'm in a place in life where I've made it big. I make a lot of money. I have a lot of money. I have a lot of businesses that provide a lot of cash flow. And I live a life that I don't need a vacation from. I travel private. I drive $1 million cars. I love my life. I have healthy daughters, beautiful daughters, a wife, parents. I can't ask for anything more. Now, all I want to do is I want to give, and give more, because I believe that as long as I keep giving more, I'm just going to keep blowing up more. Does that make any sense? Because the more you give, the more you get. And a lot of people, they want to take before they give. So that's not the way you do it. You got to give first. So now, number one, how do you get all these people on your podcast? Look, it's very important right now to have a big brand, to be known, to have a lot of followers on social media. You want everybody to know who you are. You got to be omnipresent everywhere. So how do you do that? Well, the number one way I did it was by getting people on my podcast. Okay, so how do you get people on your podcast? Who do you get on your podcast? So it's not just about getting anybody on your podcast. I see a lot of people that are getting people and putting people on their podcast, and the podcast is not good. It's not good content. It's not good information. It's not good. It's not successful people that you want to put out there and you want to have people learn from them. There's a lot of bad garbage on YouTube, a lot of bad garbage on Instagram, on all the social media platforms. You got to stay away from all that stuff, all that crap. Now, how do you get the best people on your podcast, Albert? You don't have a huge following. Last time I checked, I got 22,000 subs on YouTube. And so my YouTube's not that big. My Instagram is big, but combined with all of them, I reach a lot of people. I reach millions of people. So what I want to say is, how do I get somebody with a big name? Well, number one is you got to pay them. Okay, so you got to empty your wallet and you got to pay them. You guys know that in the beginning, I've never shied away from paying. Money is easy. Life is easy. I don't care about money. People might say, well, Albert, you shouldn't be saying that. It's not that I don't respect money, because I do respect money, but my ability, my security of making money the next hour, the next day, making money tomorrow is very, very high, that I'm never worried about, okay, we're gonna go to Chanel, spend 30 grand. Okay, done. Oh, we're gonna go to Barton G, bills 9,000, 12,000, whatever. Done. We're gonna go to this club. Oh, another Dom Perignon, another Dom Perignon, another Dom Perignon. I don't care. I don't worry about money. Oh, you gotta fly over here. Oh, it's gonna cost you over 100 grand minimum, because you have to pay for the jet, for the private jet, because we don't fly commercial. Oh, not a problem. Why? Because I have this very, very high, I'm very secure in my ability to make money tomorrow. So number one thing you got to do is, if you want to get the top talent on your podcast, pay them. Now, a way to do it, a way that I did it, was I would hire them, because I have an event called Driven Event. So I have a Driven Event. You guys look it up. We're having Driven 6 this year. So this is going to be the 6th year having Driven. Okay. Now, when I book a speaker in the beginning, I needed to pay them a lot of money to have them on the Driven stage. Now people pay me to be on my Driven stage. So things have changed a lot. Now people pay me to go speak at their events, which I'm not going to do any more events. I'm not going to do any more events, because I'm just going to be focused on the Driven events. Now, you pay when you hire a speaker, when you negotiate, I want you to tell them, hey, okay, speaker, you're going to be hired for my event. Now, I'm gonna pay you 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever the case is, I'm gonna pay you this, but it's going to include, you're gonna be part of our lunch, you're gonna be part of our dinner, but most importantly, this is the most important part in the negotiation. You want them to be on your podcast, okay? So you're gonna get them to commit to being on your podcast. The podcast is more important than them being at your event. The podcast is the most important part here. And sometimes you could even just pay them for a podcast and you ask for 20 minutes. You tell them, hey, I just want to do a quick 20 minutes. If you're good, then you're going to get an hour, okay? An hour. What you want is an hour, and what you want to do is you want to get there early, kind of like I did. I remember one time with Ed Myletts, I went to his house in person. All podcasts need to be in person because you want to touch the person. You want to build that relationship. You want to create rapport. So I go to Ed Myletts' house in Laguna Beach, and I walk in there. He gives me a tour of his house. He doesn't even know me that well. He gives me a tour. He's like, hey, but the cool thing is that he knew me through social media, and he'd been following me. And obviously everybody knows who Ed Myletts is. Like I look up to him, powerful dude, successful entrepreneur. And he tells me, hey, Albert, let's take a shot. So we take a tequila shot before the podcast, then we take another one. And then we just create this relationship. He likes me, I like him, and we just click and we become friends. And then we stay there a little later, and it was just so cool. I have his cell phone. We created that friendship from a podcast. So that's what you want to do. Goggins, I flew to New York to do a podcast. This is before I started flying private. I flew commercial first class. I flew with my videographer. I flew with Sil, my daughters, because everywhere I go, I always take my family with me, my daughters. And key thing, this is another topic, but I fly private not because I want to show off. The reason why I started flying private before I could even afford it, and then when you start doing something that you can't afford, it makes you afford it, if that makes sense, because it pushes you higher. So when I started flying private, it was for the sole reason that somebody told my daughter, you got to put your mask on. If you don't put your mask on, you can't be on the flight. And my daughter is not even, she's little, Italia. She was like 3-4 years old. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. And I felt so bad that somebody was bullying me, telling me, your daughter has to put a mask on. I said, no, she's not putting a mask on. After that, I got off the plane and I flew private. And from there on, I've been flying private for the last 2 years almost. So that's why I did it. But when I went to see Goggins, okay, I flew to see him and I went to his apartment and we met at his apartment and I went into his house. I used his restroom. I created this relationship with Goggins, and we sat in his sofa and we did the podcast. We talked before, we talked after. I have communication with him now. Access to him. I'm not gonna say that we're buddies, but I have access to him. But that happened because of the podcast. So that's why it's really important to get a podcast. And these are the reasons how you want to get these people that are big on your podcast. Even if you're just getting started, you got to pay them. Number one, you got to build your relationship. Why do you want to have them? Why do you want to collaborate with these people? Because you want to collaborate with these people because these people, they'll share it on their social media and then you'll gain their followers. Very important. And you have to be omnipresent. You get content from this podcast and you post it everywhere. People, I just recently started getting on TikTok. I'm YouTube, I'm getting on Twitter, I'm getting everywhere, and all my accounts are going to be verified. Why? Because I'm verified in most of them, so they're going to verify me on all the other ones. And today, we are heading into a recession. Okay, so we are already in the middle of a recession. Now, very important right now, if you want to survive, you have to be known. If you want to survive and thrive, let's talk about thrive. If you want to thrive during this recession, because when recessions happens, it's the best time to thrive. Take over all the weak people, all the weak companies, all the brand new companies are going to go out of business. So this is takeover time. You have to be really known. If you're really known, social media, if you're really known, if you have relationships, connections, you're gonna blow up, because if nobody knows you, nobody pays you. This is why you have to get powerful people on your podcast. This is why you have to create these relationships. This is why you need a lot of cash right now, because right now you should be prepared for this recession to attack, And you need to have a lot of cash, and you need to have these relationships, these connections, and you will blow up. If nobody knows you, nobody pays you.